Welcome back to the We Was Siloed podcast. I'm your host, Brandon.
I'm your other host, Chanel.
There we go. And we are back to talk about season 2, episode 2, Order of Silo, the Apple TV Plus series. Before we get into that, just those of you listening to us on podcasts, Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please go to our show and leave us a review. If it's 5 stars, we'll read it on the show. We really appreciate those. They help us out greatly. You can also watch us on YouTube. We are streaming live on YouTube right now at youtube.com/@WeWasWatching. Please go hit the subscribe button and then hit the notification bell, and it'll let you know when we're going live. And also like our videos. And if you want to connect with us through email, you can reach us at wewasdragonspod@gmail.com, and we'll read those emails on the show as well. And Chanel made me join Blue Sky, but we don't have a show. I don't know what you call it, profile on Blue Sky yet, but we will have one on Blue Sky. So that'll be on there soon. But for now, if you're still on X, you can follow us at We Was Watching on Twitter's X and interact with us there. We didn't get any new emails this week, but we did get 2 new reviews, and I think Chanel is going to read those.
Yes. Okay. Thank you guys so much for listening on all the different platforms. Apple Podcasts is somewhere where you can leave like specific reviews. So we love that for us. We always like track the numbers. We're at 4.4 right now on Apple. And Spotify is the one I always have trouble with, but we're happy with 4.4. Anyway, so we got 2 5-star reviews in the last week. One is from a friend of mine. It says, friend of the show, one of the best industry and Penguin recap podcasts out there, potentially one of the best recap podcasts, period. I'm a biased reviewer, however, so thank you for that review. And then somebody who I don't know gave 5 stars, favorite podcast from Stu and BK, best commentary and insight on my favorite shows. Thank you so much. We take that very seriously. And another thing I'm noticing, Brandon, is we have done more than 60 episodes. And we have probably by now, like I remember there was a time when I was saying, I think we were like almost at 35,000 total like listens, and we are almost now at 45,000. So we are just building this, set of content out and growing. So thank you guys for listening to it.
Yeah, that's really exciting. So yeah, as we keep going, we're going to keep doing this for as long as Chanel wants to do it, because I just love talking about movies. So I could do this until I'm whatever years old. So we're having so much fun doing this. And this one in particular, I think I'm still more excited than Chanel. But like I really love Silo a lot. And this episode kind of caught me off guard because I wasn't expecting what was happening. But before we get into that, Chanel, did you see Gladiator 2?
Yeah.
What'd you think about that?
Yep. And I went back, we watched Gladiator 1 first.
Okay, what'd you think? What is that?
It's really hard to make it. What?
What is that sound?
It's really hard to make a great movie, is what I think. I think it's really hard. I think if you have hours and hours of content to go through, sometimes there will be holes and sometimes things won't make sense. And I think that Denzel Washington is a great actor. I think Pedro does his thing. I love the white-haired senator that keeps coming back. And the movie looked really good, and the sound was really good.
That's all you got?
I'm not gonna be mean because it was it's so hard to make a 3-hour movie.
I mean, I thought.
What about you? What did you think? You be mean.
I'm not mean. I thought the first.
No, I'm saying you be mean to the movie. Yeah, go ahead. I don't want to do it.
I mean, it was a 3-act movie. I thought the first act was very slow and repetitive and almost a carbon copy of the first movie, just in the future. Confusing. And which is, I mean, it happens all the time in sequels. But then I thought that the rest of the movie was really good. I thought Denzel was excellent. I thought I thought the
Yeah, he was really
dude
good.
playing Russell Crowe's son wasn't as good as Russell Crowe, but he was good enough.
His last name's Mescal.
Mescal, yeah, and I thought
Yeah, he
Pedro.
was definitely amazing.
What's my guy's name from Fantastic Four and Last of Us? Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal. Yeah.
No, that's Mescal. That's a different person. Pedro Pascal. I thought.
No, Pedro Pascal is the guy. Mescal is the son.
Yeah, Mescal's the son. I thought Pedro was good. It's good to see him with a sword again. Since he was Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones. So I'm glad he got a sword back. We went to a fan event screening of it, and they had like this 25-minute thing with behind the scenes and all this stuff. And he were talking about how they were doing training for the movie. And he was like, I kind of have some experience using the sword on screen. And so that was pretty cool to see. And a lot of the stuff was practical effects. Like the animals were obviously CG, but I think they did actually make water for the water, like the Navy scene and stuff like that. And apparently they used to actually do that back in the Roman days. Like they did actually flood the Roman Colosseum to have like a Navy games. And so because go ahead.
Yeah, people were curious about if that was true or not.
That is true. And I am very curious of time pieces. And I'm actually very curious of that time. So I was reading some history stuff about the Roman Empire. And I was like, how far did the Roman Empire stretch? And it stretches all the way into like a good part of Africa. So I was like, huh.
It was sick.
So I was I was like, I wonder what it was like for people with black skin back then. And to my surprise, the Romans thought that the people in Africa had black skin because the climate was different. And that was it. So there were people with black skin, or black people, for lack of a better term, who were everything in the Roman Empire: senators, artists, doctors, slaves, common folk. They were just part of the empire. They weren't just like, you're going to be slaves because you're black. And I was like, huh, the greatest, I said in my group chat, and I was like, the greatest colonizers of all time found a way to do it without racism. But why did modern colonizers have to do that? I was like, you could colonize without racism if you wanted to. They had slaves, but the slaves was just people they conquered who didn't want to do anything. They put them in slavery. But they didn't just be like, oh, you darkies, you become slaves.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
As you know, RFK said racism isn't going anywhere. So if you're really concerned about racism, you just need to make black kids stronger.
That's right. We could be gladiators. We could fight our way out.
That was great advice. Yeah, that was great advice. No, I think okay, so so follow me on Instagram or TikTok at Chanel Creating on either one. I do, and also I just made our Blue Sky. It's at We Was Watching BKS Brooklyn Sire. No, just kidding. BKSY whatever it's called. So when I watched the first one, I forgot all about it until halfway through it. I was like, oh shit, this is what the movie was. Got it. Because I just didn't want to look anything up or try to remember what Gladiator was, because it was just not it wasn't coming up easily in my brain. So watch Gladiator 1, laughed at a lot of the visual effects, because there's a time when there's a green screen behind Joaquin Phoenix and he's just floating with Rome in the back of him, and we were like, are they for real? And then there's a moment in the Coliseum where old dude puts on this curly wig to go moderate, and we were like, what's going on? So it was just little silly stuff they did. And so or there's a time when Russell Crowe has a tiger on his back and he's just kind of riding around while the tiger's waiting for him to fight. So we were just there's a couple of moments here that are not that legit, but obviously good movie all in all. And then the whole premise of the first one is that the Lucilla gets, okay, first of all, the whole premise of the first one is that baby Lucius, and by the way, this is now the third Lucius I know, because I only know 3 Luciuses. One is from Empire, the other one is Malfoy, and now we got Lucius Lucius the Roman, because I know he has a whole name, I don't remember. But so the whole idea is that Maximus was about to save Rome and turn Rome into a republic, but little baby Lucius was playing too much and told his crazy uncle that, played by Joaquin Phoenix, that the savior of Rome was Maximus Decimus, the gladiator. And so what we were asking ourselves during the movie is, how the fuck does this woman know that her brother is crazy and deranged, but hasn't trained her little son about how to talk around him? Like, hasn't told the little boy, like, hey, act different around your uncle. Or like, everyone knows when you have a family member that's off, you warn the kids. You give the kids as much, because you're like, kids do and say or whatever. Let me let this kid know, hey, yo, like, around Uncle, what is his, around Uncle
Cadmus?
No, it was a CO Commodore.
No,
Communist.
that's what I said.
It was Cadmus?
No, Economist.
Economist. Spell it. CO.
COMMODUS.
Commodus.
Yeah,
okay, your accent. I thought you were saying communist. I'm like, that's not right. Commodus.
Yes,
okay.
Commodus.
Like Commodore, Commodus. Okay. So Uncle, he's like, act. Don't say a lot of shit around Uncle Commodus, because he's crazy. Don't let him pull you in a room. Don't let him tell you nothing, and don't let him tell you not to tell me nothing, because it's secret between you and him. Like, you got to warn people when they are around a family member that is not right. And so she didn't do that. The little boy's playing swords when he should have been asleep. So because of that, she gives up the whole plan. She gives up Maximus. She ruins the whole intrigue. People die. Like, a big dude who should have been WWE, like the reject for Andre the Giant, dies in the movie. This all happens. In the second movie, Lucilla is a part of a plot to have 5,000 troops come in from out somewhere to take it over, and the bitch has learned nothing in 16 years. She's learned zero things. She's still messy. She's still walking around doing the same thing. We were just watching this. I've been watching within 24 hours. We're like, this is stupid. Like, don't trust her in shit. The little boy is, I guess, like, they wasted all this time trying to make it a reveal when we figured it out very easily, because if you watch them back to back, you recognize the actor. But anyway,
yeah, you watched them back to back.
Yeah, but then there's like little things, like she says stuff about how Maximus loved his son, and we're like, that was not Maximus's son for real. Don't do that. And then like, he didn't know that was his damn son. He had another son that he cared about. Like, don't do that. Or then, like, when they're gossiping about it, they're like, oh, he was 12. And we were like, ain't no way that little boy was 12, because he was 12. He should have kept his damn mouth shut around his uncle and not get everybody fucked up because he wanted to play swords and bad guys. And so that was my real review of it. I feel like there were some plot holes that are like, you had so much time to get it right, but I'm trying to be like understanding, because like, maybe there's just no way to write around that. But like, I did think that using Lucilla for another plot made no sense. And then my friend said that Lucilla is like ancient Rome's J-Lo, because she was on her third husband by the time we saw her, and she doesn't miss Russell Crowe, Pedro Pascal. She kind of did her thing. And she still looked great. The guy, I know people are going to be hard on him because,
well,
like,
technically Russell Crowe wasn't her husband. It was her jump off. Technically.
But her baby dad, she's not losing in terms of baby daddy.
No,
so
she's not.
I guess we can actually, she's Sierra. There's no, it is what it is. But the point I'm trying to get to is that... I feel like
Future is losing, though. I feel like you lost with Future. I don't think that's a win.
Well, yeah, I mean, not all her baby daddies were good, but they're all good looking. So anyway, I guess my point is, people are going to critique the actor, and say that he's not that great. He doesn't have the gravitas. And I don't know if Russell Crowe has gravitas, or if the movie just became better and bigger, or if it was some mixture of the two. I will say that when his wife died in the beginning and he cried, I was like, I'm not feeling it. You got to shed some tears. You got to drop on your knees. Like, this is too stoic for me. And then he was kind of like a very like simmering slow burn. And again, my friend was like, Denzel keeps talking about rage within him, but you don't really see it as much. And then there is, of course, the biting of the monkey and him not having rabies. Just things that didn't make sense. But overall, it's really cool to be able to see a movie come that doesn't have a natural sequel and then see the sequel be created and that come out in your lifetime. I think Denzel was the only character that made sense, even though he didn't make that much sense because they didn't give him a lot of good backstory. And it's so annoying because like he almost got away with it, and he would have gotten away with it, and he had a really good plan. And then it's funny because when they took him down, my friend, no, we were in the theater and somebody clapped when Denzel died, and my friend was like, "Okay, whoa, that feels racial. Like he wasn't that bad." It's just like you got all these crazy
See?
people who've killed all these people, and you want him to go down? Like
You
he
always
didn't deserve
defending the
that death.
bad
That
people.
crazy
Always defending the bad
that are
people.
black. Yes,
See?
that are black. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Never fails.
And then yeah. So anyway, it was just so crazy that like that man he worked his way up from whatever his backstory was to like literally he was at that point acting emperor of Rome to get taken down in a sword.
Well, we know
fight
what his
like,
backstory was. He was a slave owned by her daddy, the king from the first movie.
But we didn't get the prequel we deserved from him because like that's the story I like to see. But anyway, I guess my point is he does all of that and he can't fight. And so he dies. Like that doesn't make sense to me. I didn't think that was how he deserved to die. My friend was like, maybe give him a couple days, like see how bad of a leader he is. But that's just because Denzel has like the most charisma in the world. And yeah, I mean, and then at the end, it was
also
so clear,
what kind of accent was he doing? Like he didn't even try to do an accent for the movie.
No, because in Gladiator 1, when I tell you they were British and Australian, them shits didn't make no sense. His accent was what I was the least mad at. Because, first of all, the whole movie should have been in Italian. Let's start with that. And it should have been captions if you wanted to feel
not Italian.
Like it's not like an army movie.
It's not, not Italian.
What they speak in Rome?
They spoke Latin.
Okay, whatever. You get what I'm saying? Not American English.
But Latin is close to English. That's where English came from.
Okay, but they were not speaking English and they didn't have those accents. And also, it should. Anyway, I'm just saying.
Also, nobody.
Like, passionate.
Y'all people, you wouldn't have watched it with subtitles, would you? Have?
I watched. Hey, I watched subtitles. I watched Parasite. So anyway.
Oh, look at you, fancy pants.
Yeah, I enjoy film. But so the last thing I want to say is that I do want to do commentaries of movies that like you can turn on or turn off and just hear me talking shit, because at the very end, when them soldiers were so fucking relieved, they were like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." Like I did not want to fight my cousin, like because they basically were about to start a civil war at the end, and they ended it. And what stressed me out the most after I finished Gladiator 1 was I was like, "This is a natural end. Why are they still in the Colosseum?" I was like, "What the fuck happened?" He tried to free the slaves and they still are doing this. So just look forward to Gladiator 3, where it's like now there's triplets on the throne and there's a woman in the gladiator booth and she has to give birth in the middle of it for people to she gives birth to the new emperor in the middle of the fight. Or better yet, she comes into the arena and has to fight a bunch of babies. They unleash a bunch of babies, and those are who they have to fight. CGI babies that are like ravenous. That's what my predictions are for Gladiator 3.
Good. That was Chanel Cinema Corner. And she got to get all her shit talking out, which I actually appreciate that though.
You asked for it.
I know. You're Chanel Cinema now, not Chanel Creating. Chanel Cinema.
And the other thing I watched, you know what a better movie I watched this weekend was Wolves. The Brad Pitt and George Clooney thing on Apple TV.
Oh, yeah. I heard that was good. I really want to see Wicked though, but I heard Wolves was good.
Yeah, go see Wicked. And then ironically, when I was watching Wolves, I saw a post that said the director of Wolves returned his money for the sequel to Apple because he was told that movie was going to go, or whoever made the movie with him, I guess Apple, that movie originally was going to go to theaters and they put it straight on streaming. And he felt like he didn't trust them to make a second movie and it goes straight to streaming. So I thought that was interesting because Wolves absolutely ends in a great place for a sequel. And I would love to see another one, although Brad Pitt does have very credible allegations against him by his ex-wife and family, and I'm conflicted about that. But yeah, that is the Cinema Corner. Watched a lot of stuff this weekend. Had like a whole Gladiator weekend. Went with classmates and watched them back to back. And I just don't recommend that if you want a movie to not have plot holes. Like I think it's very hard. The only things that stand up without scrutiny, the only trilogies that won't disappoint you are Rush Hour and Bad Boys. No, Bad Boys will make it. So Rush Hour is the only trilogy that won't disappoint you.
That one will too. All right, let's talk about Silo.
There's no plot holes. There's no plot holes.
I'll tell you that in another time. Look at that. 20 minutes. Perfect timing. For those of you still with us, or if you jumped to this point, we're now going to get into episode 2 of Silo Order. So now, what'd you think about this episode?
It was cool.
What is that? You just talked for 15 minutes about something you didn't like, and then you say this was cool.
Of the content. I want to know what you think.
I love everything about this show, so I'm going to say I love it every single time because I think the show is fantastic. Because every episode explains something and then presents something else that you want to find out what it's about. Every single episode. Hey, we're going to explain this one thing. We're going to tell you this one thing that you wanted to know. And we're going to give you at least one more thing that you want to find out about. And this episode, they explain what happened right after Juliet walked over that hill. And then they also tell you, they also want you to think about what's going to happen next. What are the rebels, quote unquote rebels, are going to do, etc. But let's get into this.
One thing I think the show is about at a high level is like, how far do you think, it really is like an ethical concern of how many people do you kill to save more? Because if this is where we started the story, I would actually have a lot more sympathy for the leadership of the silo, because they really do have a very tough task because they do not have the actual answers right now. And so recognizing that they don't know exactly what's going on, they are doing their best, was tough. But then I would remember like, oh shit, they used to kill people. So I'm like, no, actually that's not, like, I don't feel bad for them. But I do think that's what's interesting about the show is you can ask yourself, well, like, they're doing what they need to do to keep everyone safe. And like, if somebody really is causing trouble, they should put them in jail. And then if but then that is what foments the rebels, because they're like, well, we don't trust. And so I think that's what this show is going to ultimately have you have a opinion about, is like, how far should people go to protect what they're trying to protect?
Agreed. So the episode starts in the server room. So I was right about this. It starts in the server room that Bernard ran into.
And all there is in there is an encyclopedia.
No. You are way underselling this. He's in a room that looks futuristic, like futuristic from our times today, much less the world that they live in the silo, right? So whoever designed the silo, it had to take place sometime in the future of like today's future. It had to take place sometime in today's future, and they had futuristic technology that they specifically chose not to make available in the silo, right? Because he's watching this on like some holographic screen. The world, like the room around him is like this bright lighted room, and the screen that he's watching is a video recording of what Jules saw when she was walking over the hill and before she went to the other silo. And then on top of that, he can control it by voice, so he can say stop, rewind.
Oh, I thought there was somebody else in the room. You're right. No, I'm looking at it now. I will say, with that said, it's clear to me this is in the future, because like they find camcorders and are like, what is that foolishness, right? So like it is definitely a anti-tech, post-tech environment.
Yeah, whoever designed the silo, well, we know last year they banned magnifying glass, like magnifying devices, things that could zoom in. They banned any type of automated pulley system like an elevator, escalator, things like that. So like these things clearly existed. Even more than that, what we know, because even last year when we saw Robert Sims, Commons character's little room, his security room, that's like today's tech, right? They had cameras and flat screens and computers, right? That's like today's tech. This room that Bernard is in is not today's tech. That's like future tech in the room that he was in. So I thought that was really interesting.
And it's also clearly the room that the other guy is protecting, which means that he probably saw exactly what happened to the people. Oh, I guess he was wired into Juliet's headset. So I guess I'm not sure what the guy in the other room is able to see.
You mentioned
potentially able to see. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned last week that you were like, oh, I wonder if that room connects all the silos and they can go talk to each other. I think we figured out that's not the case, but that room might be able to talk to each other, like digitally, like what we're doing, to the other silos. So not like physically meet and talk to the other silos, but like digitally meet and talk to the other silos. So I think you had something there with that one.
I wonder if they don't. Yeah, again, I don't know if they just don't know what's going on. And it also is interesting that the group that governs the whole silo would be IT, like this idea around tech and like controlling technology. That's why I do think like there's a lot of allegory in this story of like how we think about surveillance being necessary to so that they can stop people from dying, kind of thing. Like, what are you justifying here? But anyway,
well, we don't know if IT governs the whole thing. What we know is that
I'm saying like IT is Commons Group, right?
No, Commons Group is judicial. Bernard was in charge of judicial. IT. But
okay, so IT has like the eyes everywhere, I guess. So just thinking about like how tech might play a role here, in, like this, it might play a role in the backstory. Like who knows?
Well, it does. But what we know is Bernard's in charge, but he had he had a judicial shadow in the past that we found out this episode. In that Robert Commons' character is trying to be a shadow in the present, who's judicial. So it could be that IT and judicial are the two people that run things, or it could be that those were the two people chosen in this silo to keep passing it down to run shit. But I think you're also right there. But here's the thing: when he gets done looking at it, because the video cuts out once Jules gets into the other silo, so it doesn't have unlimited range, right? Because you got to realize he's like 100 stories down below, right? So that's really far to reach range, so it cuts off eventually. But he then looks at a book called The Order, right? Not the pack, right? We've seen the pack for the whole season. This is another book that we've never seen before. So I'm assuming that this book is only given to like the secret leaders of the silo that it gets passed down between them, because it has information that the pack like is just above the pack. So I thought that was interesting. So then he hears an alarm and he runs out.
Wait, hold on. Real quick. So hi everyone watching on YouTube. Hello to Lillian. Do you have her comment?
Yeah, I have her comment.
And while she does that, while you pull that up, so hey Lillian, so was IT a part of Friends of the Silo? Do you know?
I don't know that.
Okay, we'll come back to that. But if you don't know spoilers, but if you do know, share more. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to say real quick about the book was like it clearly is, like you said, it's above the pact. And I guess I'm assuming it's how to keep order, because what it says is in the event of a failed cleaning, prepare for war. And then the whole thing goes into like, all right, so if you send someone out and they don't, like I was trying to read through the text, but it was blurred. It's like if you send someone out, they don't clean it, you need to be ready for XYZ. And I think they probably mean like wars and rebellion, but they could mean wars and like another like who knows what they mean by war, right? So I think he's freaking out because he clearly is like, this is unprecedented. And they clearly thought about this because whoever organized the silos like knows, can anticipate something, right? Like some type of human behavior.
I remember Friends of the Silo. If you remember in the first season, they Paul Billings. Remember when Paul Billings first got appointed to sheriff, he was talking to Jules and he was like, when we do investigations, we have Friends of the Silo, and they're like people in the silo who like snitch, basically. Like snitch on things. And so I think she's asking, was IT part of that? And I don't think we have any evidence that there is, but it seems like Bernard knows about that, right? So maybe high level IT has some insight on the Friends of the Silo, but that appears to be like a judicial group, like informants, like we have in our time.
And I imagine there has to be some collusion for any of this stuff to work.
Also, Lillian said, I love the podcast. This is my first time on live. Big fan of you too. Thank you.
Thank you. We're a fan of you.
So then he runs out after the alarm and we go to Judge Medows' apartment. And I was like, God damn, I didn't think we was ever going to see her again. I thought she was just a minor character last year, like, a puppet that we figured out she was being a puppeteer and we didn't care about her no more. But we learned a lot this episode. Medows wakes up and she's shocked to hear the alarm. She opens the door to ask her security what's going on. And her security tells her, hey, dog, Jules didn't clean. She's like, what? So then we see everybody being forced back into their homes. Sims comes to Bernard, and Bernard tells Sims that the sheriff department is under his command now. I want you to keep an eye on Jules's daddy, We need to get order. I'm going to give a speech later to try to clear all this shit up. But our first and foremost, we got to get some control in here because it can get bad. And Sims wants to know what happened. And Bernard wants to know if he knows what happened. And Bernard was like, I got an idea. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to take these two women in custody. Have the deputies take these two women in custody and get some order back in here. So then they cut down to the down deep. And they going crazy down there. They ready to riot. And
yeah, because they're like, we just saw something we should never have seen. Like, clearly we can go outside right now.
And Hank the deputy is trying to calm everybody down. And one of the women was like, she walked over the hill. That means it's safe.
Yeah.
I want to go out.
I want to go outside.
I'm like, buddy, I don't think you want to go outside, buddy.
Yeah,
that's not how that works.
Like, she didn't do cartwheels and sign language and say it's good out here. She just happened to walk over. So I do think, but that's why the misinformation and the lack of clarity is so easy for things to become like extremely confused.
Exactly. And then Knox stands up on top of the table. Knox is like the leader of engineering and stuff. And he gives a speech. And I have that speech here.
Give it up. You're in over your head. You need to shut the fuck up and listen to these people. We got a right to ask questions. Don't we? We just saw something no one has ever seen before. And we all want to know what that means. Juliet Nichols was one of our own.
Then why'd you turn her in?
Ooh. She's shaking the table, Chanel. You don't know where that's from.
Shut your ass. I know that's from Love and Hip Hop. That's from Chris. Oh my God, K Michelle, who's actually in my sorority. But no, I think I did love that because I literally said the same thing. I was like, how are you gonna become like you're gonna try to make this a moment when you're the reason why she's out there? Like, what are we talking about? You betrayed her.
But he had a good point, which we'll get to.
I did. Jules was like family to me, but I had to make a choice. They knew she was here. They'd have torn our homes apart. They're just looking for an excuse. They think we're dumb animals. We have to show them.
Something different after we cut off the power and shut down the silo.
Once! We can shut the silo down once, and then they'll crush us.
We all saw Jules walk over the hill.
This man trying to talk sense to them. He's like, listen, I get it, but we know how they think of us down here. And this troublemaker was down here. They was looking for a reason to fuck with us. They was about to bust down all of our doors, tear up all our shit, start locking us up for no damn reason because we're hiding Jules. And yeah, eventually they was going to get to her. So I just saved y'all all the hassle of all that shit. But eventually they was going to get to her. And also, they're like, let's just shut this shit down. We just tear this shit up. And he's like, yeah, and then what? They finna just come down. They got guns. We don't. Mm-hmm. They finna come down here and get us.
Yeah, no, I think like I will say where he fucked up was he did not do a good job of like communicating what was going on or what he thought was important. Mm-hmm. So like everyone just simply felt betrayed when he did that. So like I think that if he had even done a better job of being like, hey, I think we need to maybe think of like Juliet, can you consider giving yourself up because blah blah blah, right? Like he went and did it behind everyone's back. So it's like even if he feels like he has good reasons, there's still no trust now because whatever we do moving forward, when you feel like it's about to go too far, you're just going to go get everyone arrested instead of like dealing with it the group. So that's why he lost his credibility to be talking like this. But I do agree that
that's a good point.
You can only go nuclear one time. So like, yeah, you can only shut this shit down one time and like everyone pays the price. So I think that's what really scared me though. Cause I'm like, that's how the fuck they flooded the generator in the other one. Cause they were like, we don't want to be here. And so we're going to ruin the option of being here. And then they all died. So it's like, they really actually cannot get to a point of shutting off the power, shutting down the silo. Like that's actually not like, this is where they have to live. And so that's really leadership's problem or IT judicial's problem to be clear about like why they cannot do that. But like, because of all the subterfuge, nobody has credibility right now, even though the truth is that like they can't survive outside.
Yeah, we're not going to listen to lies anymore. We want the truth.
Listen to me! Listen!
Walker comes in and starts hosing them down. I was like,
that was ridiculous.
This woman couldn't step out of her door last year. She overcame that fear, and now she everywhere. She all throughout the silo.
If you don't think I'm about to fight this old lady for what? Like, what are we in Salem, Alabama? Like, please find a bullhorn. Like, why are you hosing me down? Like, that made me so mad.
Most of us got jobs to get back to, don't we?
That's all she said. Most of us got jobs to get back to. Let's just get on up. Let's just get on up out of here. And that was the end of that scene. I thought that was a really good scene because it shows like where this could possibly go and like how everybody's boiling over down in the down deep because of what they just saw, because no one can believe what the hell they just saw. But, you know, Caroline Collinwood be acting her ass off. That's not her real name, but that's her name in Succession. So that's what I'm gonna call her.
Wait, the old lady?
Yeah, that's
Caroline.
That's Logan's ex-wife. That Shiv's and their mama.
Oh, that is her.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Good connection.
So then they cut to Jules' daddy, and you know he's going through some shit right now. And the nurse comes to get Sims like, "Hey man, this baby won't stop crying. Can you come do your job?" And he gets up and he goes back in the hospital and he's like, "I don't know what the fuck happened."
No, this is actually crazy.
He's like, "This baby dislocated her elbow," and he put the elbow back in place. He put the elbow back in place and then starts holding the baby. And I was like, look at him. Look at this good doctor right here. This nice, good doctor.
Like, are you telling me that nobody could tell that the shoulder was off?
They couldn't tell.
Nah, yeah, they need to. I'm telling you right now, they need to keep him. They don't need to arrest him for nothing, because all the babies is gonna be messed up if he can't be there to deliver them. Like he's an essential worker for real.
And so then they cut to Sims meeting with Paul Billings, Dudley Do Right, and Paul. But you know, Paul saw that book, so he's starting to be like, "Hey yo, maybe I need to question this pack. Maybe being a 5-time pack champion ain't what I thought it was." And Paul's upset. He's like, "So now I report to you? What kind of shit is that? That ain't in the pack. What's up with that?" And Sims is like, "Hey man, it's short term. Bernard just wants this to happen till we get things back to normal, and then we'll be good." And then Billings was like, "How the hell are we supposed to get back to normal? She walked over the fucking hill. Like, what are you talking about?
Like, like, this is not a normal day. It's not a Tuesday anymore."
And then Paul was like, "By the way, what other parts of the pack is Bernard willing to set on fire right now?" And Sims was like, "It's an emergency. Calm the fuck down." And Paul was like, "Should I even write my fucking report on this shit?" And Sims was like, "Yeah, of course. Do your fucking job." And he was like, "Okay. So if I'm gonna do my job, you ain't give me your report. You ain't give me your statement. Tell me what the fuck happened." And so Bernard gives him the statement, and he basically tells the truth for the entire thing about what happened. How they cornered her in the farmer's thing. They caught her with the relic. They took the relic. They destroyed the relic. Except the part where she said she wanted to go out. That was a lie. He stuck with that. And then Billings was like,
"Here's my thing about this." Go ahead.
And then Billings was like, if she wanted to go out, why the fuck would she run? That don't make no fucking sense. And then Robert was like, "I don't know." And it just left. Now, what was you gonna say?
Yeah, my problem with them is like they're not keeping themselves up to the necessary standard, I think, to be able to actually protect these people. Because all you need is for this person who believes in law and order and rule of law to find a video that proves that she didn't say that shit. And then what? And then now, like, everything you've done to protect these people is thrown out because, like, it's literally one bad apple, right? So it's like, if they don't keep their own standards of how to raise the silo and protect it, it will implode on itself because it's being run by the wrong people. So I don't know why they don't understand, like, you do have to run this shit the right way, because like you need to maintain your trust, because once people realize they don't want you in power, that's that. Like, it doesn't matter whether or not they want to go outside, like, you're out of here, and then it resets the nature of everything, and you never know with like a new government if they care about the order, the pact, all that stuff. So yeah,
but that's why they suppress
yeah.
why they suppress curious people, though. Like, that's their whole thing. Like, their thing is, if we suppress
Right,
these people,
saying, like,
we don't have to explain this shit.
I mean, it just goes back to my whole theory, which is like, all right, so let the curious people do, because you clearly got the sound and the video. Like, send the motherfuckers out and be like, all right, we got you live on, Maria Taylor here for ESPN. What is it like outside? Like, that's what you need to be doing, is getting, like, let's do some interviews and get the information. I know you said like people might not take it, but I'm just like, if and when all this shit implodes, it's their fault for like the bad practices, is what I'm trying to say.
That's a good point. That's a great point. So then they cut to Walker and Shirley. Shirley's in Walker's room, and Shirley's like, what we supposed to be doing right now? Like, what if she's alive? And Walker's like, she ain't alive. It's only so much air in that fucking suit. And Shirley was like, okay, so what about that note? What's up with that note? And Walker was like, I knew he was gonna read that shit. And Shirley was like, it's all good in supply. What the fuck does that mean? You talking about the tape? And Walker was like, bitch, mind your business. Leave me alone. Stop asking me questions. All right, just let me mourn. Jeez. And Shirley's like, it's not enough just to mourn. Like, we got to do something. And then Hank shows up.
And again, I mean, that she's making a good point. She's like, bro, you might want to mourn and like sit this out, but your inaction doesn't stop all these other curious people from having the conversation. So I do think that, like, she's not wrong, and like, there are going to be people who are going to be asking questions, and if you can provide a better answer, even if you have the actual correct answer, people are going to make their own answers up.
Exactly. And at that moment, Hank knocks on the door, and Hank, the deputy with the long hair, and he's like, I need to talk to Walker alone. And he goes in and he says, look, man, Judicial wants me to arrest you. I got to do that shit. They my boss. And I got to make it look good. So I'm going to have to put you in these cuffs and give you a perp walk. And so then they cut to Judge Medows, and she talking to some woman, and she's like, Jules ain't clean. She's like, stop fucking lying to me. Everybody cleans. Like, she's just like, you lying. And she's like, oh, what you gonna tell me next? She didn't die either? And then she was like, yeah, she walked over the hill. And she's like, what? She walked over the hill? Are you, like, what you mean? And Meadows couldn't believe that shit. So that shit woke her up. And
yeah, she poured her liquor out.
She was like, what now, Bernard? And pour her liquor out.
She was drinking she was drinking like a screwdriver. Because it was definitely orange juice. She said, pour this out. And then later she basically is like, I had to wake up. Like, I was too drunk and in a stupor.
So then we cut to like this welding part of like the Down Deep. And Knox goes in there to see somebody, this dude in a wheelchair. I don't think we got his name. But I think he runs that department. And the guy in the wheelchair was like, hey, I heard some crazy shit about your shadow. He was like, yeah, that shit's happening. But look, I need some help. I need you to do me a favor. And he's like, I got two asks. One, if anyone comes in here asking for weapons, don't make that shit. It's too dangerous. He was like, all right, what's number two? And then he starts to say number two, and then they cut him off. So I'm like, oh, they don't want us to know what number two is. Okay, another mystery. So then they cut back to Meadows, and Bernard shows up. And I was like, what are you doing here? And Meadows said, I'd make you a drink, but I don't really want you to stay that long, dog. And Bernard's like, I guess you know what happened. And she's like, more or less. And Bernard's like, so why don't you just have a drink? And Meadows was like, oh, I quit. And Bernard was like, you quit when? Today? He was looking at her like, oh, all right then. You quit today. Okay, buddy. And so I was like, what's going on here? I thought she was a puppet. Like, why is Bernard talking to her? And then Meadows asked, do you know how she got over the hill? And Bernard said it had to be the tape. But I was like, oh, she must know something, right? Because she's like, it's the, like, if he's telling her the truth, then obviously she's in the know somewhere, somehow. And he was like, so you're afraid of that? Like, you're afraid of everybody finding out about this? And Bernard's like, no, I'm not afraid about them finding out about this. I'm afraid about what I saw on that video, which was thousands of people dead outside. He was like, it looks like another silo went to war with themselves, which then makes me think about our conversation about that server room. Maybe they don't talk to each other, because it seems like Bernard did not know that silo went to war with each other and it opened up and it's just a bunch of motherfuckers dead outside.
Yeah. No, they definitely didn't. Like, you can tell that whatever happened to preclude this, white men decided it, because nobody thought, let's make sure we can all figure out like the whole thing in the silo that they read is, or I guess the pact, we do not know why we are here. All we know is that today is not the day we can go outside. Why the fuck would they figure out when is the day? By communication and science. Like, there's no other way around it, right? Like, so whatever's happening, whatever we need oxygen for outside, like, one day it will be a different day. And how would I find out? Like, so what am I supposed to, my silo is supposed to go out and figure it out, and I'm supposed to go knock on all the other silos and let them know? Like, all that super hyper technology, and all you had to do is create like a fail safe so that they could talk to each other. So anyway, that's kind of why I'm like, I know maybe they didn't do that. I think actually, okay, sorry, I will say they probably didn't do that because whoever designed it was like, we need people to think that they are the only silo that exists.
Yes.
But
clearly Bernard knows there's another silo.
No, yeah. So I'm like, so I don't know. Yeah.
He just didn't know what happened to that silo, but he knew there's another one out there at least. And then Meadows says, you know, somebody was going to figure that shit out at some point. And she was like, I don't really know like what to say about this. And Bernard was like, yeah, that's when he said, I'm afraid about what happened out there. And Bernard says, I'm here to figure this shit out. I need your help. And I was like, oh. And Meadows says, that's when we find out that Meadows used to be his shadow. And I was like, okay, there's some backstory here that we don't know about. Mm-hmm. Why is she a drunk now? Something happened. Why is she not a shadow anymore? Mm-hmm. Like, what the hell happened? Mm-hmm. And he was like, this is an emergency. And Bernard, and she's just like, she's like dismissing him. And Bernard's like, man, what's wrong with you? It's been 25 years. Why are you acting like this? Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Is there a secret? It's something it's obviously something you're not telling me. What the hell is it? Like, why are you acting like this? The silo is about to implode and you sitting here in your feelings. What is wrong? And I was like, something's fucked up.
Wow. Look at how everything comes together. Because then she goes, well, there's this book called The Wizard of Oz. There's this movie called The Wiz starring Michael. No, I'm just kidding. Mm-hmm. She's like, okay, so you know what? Judge Medows would have liked The Wiz. I feel like there's no reason.
Yeah, she would have liked The Wiz.
She shouldn't have a DVD. Yeah. Anyway, so she goes, you know, in The Wizard of Oz, they found out that this wizard who they think is like responsible for everything is actually a fraud. And he's like, I'm not a fraud. She's like, no, I'm the fraud. And she's like, but at the end, the fraud is able to escape by rising up into the air, hot air balloon. She says, can you get me a fucking hot air balloon? She's not being metaphorical. She's like, can you get me the fuck about the silo? No? All right, then peace.
Yeah, because Bernard asked her what you want. Like, what you want so you can help me? And he's like, what, you want some more relics? By the way, oh no, I'll say this at the next one because it's funny as shit to me. So then we go back down to the down deep and Hank's giving Walker the perp walk in front of everybody. And he puts her in jail. And Carla's there. Carla's the black woman we saw in season 1 who she worked with to change the tape out. And I think that's her ex. I think that's her ex. So they had a relationship in the past.
Wait, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Did you get mail yesterday?
In the mailbox?
Yeah, Did you get a USPS package?
No, I didn't get a package. Not yesterday.
It's okay.
I'll check. Sometimes they deliver it to the wrong place.
Okay, perfect.
And then she puts him in jail, and Walker's like, what the fuck is she doing here? And Walker asks, did you say anything? Did you say some shit? And Carla was like, no, I ain't say nothing. What about you? And Walker's like, you know me better. I ain't say nothing. And and then they cut to way down underneath, and they meet in the secrecy. It's Shirley and her peeps. And Shirley's like, I figured this shit out. They switched to heat tape. IT must know that tape is shit. Like they doing that shit on purpose. And so then they cut
which
back.
Which is very revealing, and which is again, like, I don't understand why they're hamstringing themselves, because there is a legitimate concern about going outside. So you don't also have, like, maybe the thing is they know that obviously with the right amount of tape, you can't make it over the hill. Maybe that's the issue, but like, there's still better ways around this than like to purposely kill the people immediately for like I'm just stuck on this.
So then Shirley figured out, Carla said, they cut back and Carla said she has a plan. That's what we finna do. You ain't had nothing to do with this. It was on me. Jules came to me, was like, hey, switch out the tape. They know I'm involved. And Walker was like, why would I let you go down like that? What, are you tripping? No, we ain't gonna say shit to nobody. They can't prove it was us. We gonna say we don't know nothing and make them prove it to us. And then Carla was like, they gonna figure that shit out and they gonna kill us both. And Walker was like, we old. What you mean? We finna die anyway soon. Like, we might as well go out together. And then they kind of hold each other's hand and they fade away. And I was like, look at that. Look at that love. Look at that love in the silo.
Hmm?
And so then
did you not see? So then they slowly show that underneath there's a recording device.
Yeah, they're recording them. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, like they're not getting away with shit.
So then they cut to, this is Bernard giving his big speech as the mayor. And he walks up to the podium and he sees Judge Medows there. And he's like, hold on. I thought you said you weren't finna do anything. So he looks shocked, and then he gets up and gives a speech, and I have this speech.
I know many of you are feeling uncertain or unsettled by what you saw earlier today. But I am here to tell you that today was a good day. Today was the first day of a new era. For as long as we can remember, everyone that went out to clean died on that hillside, killed by the dangerous toxins of an unsafe world. But today, that changed. Sheriff Nichols asked to go out. Sheriff Nichols went out. She chose not to clean.
She's a traitor.
No! She was not a traitor. Juliet Nichols was a fighter. I disagreed with her about many things, but I respected her. And never more so than I did today.
She's alive.
No. No, I wish that were true. I really wish it were. But she died a hero to the silo!
It's impossible!
Do you all want to listen to these gentlemen yell? Or do you want to hear why Juliet was a hero? Before she went out, I asked Sheriff Nichols if we could seal her suit with a new kind of tape, a tape recently developed by our brilliant suit technicians. And she courageously agreed. Her trip over that hill proved that our new tape provided better protection against the dangers outside. And that is the first step forward in our lifetime.
That's a good lie, Chanel. That is a good lie to explain what the hell happened. Because technically it is new tape of why she was able to walk over the hill. But you explained it in a way that's not sinister. I thought that was a good line.
And we are not finished. We will keep finding ways to make our suits better and stronger, and to produce tape that may someday protect all of us from the dangers outside and bring us closer to our ultimate goal of safely leaving the silo.
I'd like to thank the mayor for this exemplary
Oh, look who gets up to speak now.
new development and commend him for his decisive leadership at this critical time. I hereby decree, by the powers given to me by the Pact, 5 credits be bestowed upon every household to celebrate this great achievement.
I wonder how much 5 credits is, because they cheering like it's a lot of money. They're not cheering like they got $5. If the president woke up and was like, I'm giving everybody $5, I don't think people would be cheering. So that must have been a lot of money.
I do wonder how many a credit is. Like, yeah, fair enough. Damn, that's maybe like, it's like 5 free. Like, you could pull up and eat 5 times for free at the diner. Like 5 meals for free. Like, or you can get 5 free desserts, or like 5 Chipotle bowls. It's 5 Chipotle bowls. That makes sense. People would cheer for 5 Chipotle bowls.
We can only hope that this new tape will lead to a new day for each and every one of us.
They're lying!
And here comes Shirley. She gotta shut it down. Loud as shit in front of, she can't be secret and playing this shit. She gotta be out loud in front of everybody.
Juliet discovered that IT was using bad tape on purpose. This isn't new tape. This is the good tape we use, and they didn't plan to use it. Someone from Mechanical switched the tape. The mayor's lying.
Hey, what's your name?
Juliet Nichols.
I love how she said that.
I wasn't mad at that.
Come to me. What's the problem? She's one of my people. She's under arrest. You need to step back.
Oh, whoa. This your first time below 120? I'm Knox.
He said, "Whoa there, buddy. We use non-lethal force down here. We do neighborhood policing where I'm from." Like, he's like, "What are you? You just gonna come down here and pull out a taser?" That's literally what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I can promise you she's not a troublemaker. She's just having a bad day. She lost a friend and she's been drinking. But she's one of the best techs in the silo. This deputy will vouch for her. Hank. I'm trying to explain how I can't afford to lose Shirley right now.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on her.
She'll be home before curfew.
That mouth of hers will get her sent to the mines.
Thank you. I owe you.
I'd say you both do.
Yeah, y'all owe him, because she's about to get her ass locked up talking shit. And Tim Robbins was acting his ass off this episode. The faces he was making the face acting he was doing was excellent face acting. After this, Knox wants to talk to Shirley, and she was like, "I don't got shit to talk to you about. Fuck out my way," and storms off. And then Jules's shadow, who we saw last time, the way they was up trying to fix the generator the first time up there with him, he tells him, "Hey, go follow her. Go find out what the fuck they up to." And so then they cut to Sims, and he's following up with Bernard. He playing with the Pez dispenser. And Sims was like, "You know what that is?" He was like, "I do." And he's like, is it important? Nope. Nope.
Like, imagine being like, what is a Pez dispenser? It is like, I do understand being like, I don't know what this is, but I feel like that, like, it like had Fred Flintstone on it, basically. It's like, I think you could figure out that that's not like critical technology.
And then he was like, he asked Sims how things are going. Sims was like, I think the speech worked. Everybody's kind of in a good mood. They're excited about the tape thing that you said. They're back in their cribs. Everything's good to go. They calm. And speaking of that, you know you don't got to do this shit on your own, right? Like, I think we need to have another talk about me being your shadow. And Baaabe was like, no, we good. Like, I like you right where you at. Like, I need you right there, right now. We need you in this. So let's not talk about that. And by the way, the speech, that only brought us a couple days, right? This ain't gonna last. This shit gonna blow over and they're gonna start to get worked up again. So we need to quell this shit for good. And the crisis is not over. So I need you locked in to your job right now. Not
And
your
that's
new
what I'm
job.
saying. He has that level of insight. So when he does other shit, that's why I get mad. Cause I'm like, you understand crowds, you understand that, but you don't understand enough to like get ahead of this shit. Like, now he's trying to get out of it, but like he could have been gotten ahead of it. But yeah, I do agree. It was a nice flip to be like, oh, that, because I mean, again, if you do actually believe that one day the silo will be, like, the world will be inhabitable, then like it is a good way to frame it. But I guess like I'm still curious about why he doesn't act. It doesn't seem like they actually do want to break ground and like leave the silo. I don't know. I'm still suspicious.
So then they go deep down to the down deep precinct, and Hank comes back and was like, I got good news, girls. Y'all free. And
like, huh?
she's like, what
they
you
were definitely
mean?
like, they're about to kill us. Yeah.
I thought you
she
said
literally was like, they're gonna she was like, they're gonna go make us clean for this. And then he's like, no, never mind. It was just a joke. We were pranking.
He was like, she's like, I thought judicial had questions. And he was like, they did. Now they don't. Y'all good to go. Y'all can make curfew if you leave right now. And he was like, plus the mayor told us what happened. And they was like, what'd he say? And he was like, IT came up with some new tape. That's why Juliet was able to walk. And they was like, this motherfucker lying his ass off.
Yeah. So they clearly, like they put them in there so that they wouldn't be able to counteract it, I guess.
Yeah. Because he didn't think anybody else figured it out yet. But only them two knew. So Sims, they cut the Sims crib, and his wife, he walked in, and his wife was like, oh, I thought you were coming home tonight. I thought you don't love us no more. She joking with him, and he dead serious.
Like in the middle, you just heard the alarm go off a couple hours ago. Why are you joking?
And he's like, today was a tough day. Don't fuck with me, basically.
Yeah, and, what's wrong with her? She goes, I'm kidding. I'm like, read the room.
And he's like, this what happened today. And she was like, did you talk to Bernard about being the shadow? And he was like, yeah, I asked him directly. And he said, I'm too valuable in what I'm doing. And she was like,
so wait,
oh, go ahead.
Remind me, what was the main reason he wants his promotion so bad? I'm sure they got into it last season. I just forgot.
His daddy used to be what he did. And I guess his daddy was close in the silo or something like that. I guess he just wanted promotion. Like he just wanted to be the head person in charge.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
And she was like, it got to be you. He got to have a shadow. Who else is going to be? It got to be you. You're the only person who know like enough to be his shadow.
You're the only person with a genuine leather jacket in the silo.
That's true. And then that's true. And then she was like, also, why was Judge Medows up there today? Like, isn't that And Sims was like, yeah. And can't nobody give me, I've been asking around and can't nobody give me an answer to why she was there. And she was like, did you know her? Or did she used to work in IT back in the day? And her husband, his wife, because she used to be a raider and she used to work in IT. She was like, yeah, she used to work back then, like way back in the day, but like, I don't know much more than that. And Sims, she was like, why, you think he got something to do with her? And Sims was like, I don't know for sure, but he was looking at her funny. And I got questions. And so then they cut back to Bernard he's walking through the silo and he sees some graffiti that says JL, which means Juliet lives. And then they cut to the down deep and Shirley is meeting with the rebels again, and she hears some shit, and as Jules understands, she's like, "Get out here so we can skin you alive." I was like, Jesus, this is really harsh. And he comes out, and she's like, "What you doing down here?" And she was like, "Knox told me to follow you." And she was like, "Oh, you fucking snitch. What you gonna go tell him? You gonna tell him everything we said?" He was like, "No, actually, I'm gonna tell him y'all was in y'all crib by curfew." And they was like, "Why you finna do that?" And he was like, "Cause Jules, I was her shadow. We was up in that generator together. Like, this whole thing could have went down without her. Like, that's my girl. Like, I'm here for her. So whatever y'all finna do, I'm in." And then here come Walker around the corner, and they like, "I thought this was secret. How you find this?" And she was like, "I follow his dumb ass. That's how I found you." And she was like, "All this shit y'all doing is stupid. This is dumb. Y'all out here out in the open planning a rebellion. You don't know shit." And Shirley was like, "I know we being lied to." And she was like, "Yeah, of course we being lied to. They're not finna just tell you the answers." And then Shirley goes into all this stuff about, "I'm finna do this, I'm finna do that." And Walker's like, "They got guns. They're gonna shut that shit down." And then Shirley was like, "Well, what if the deputies and the raiders want to know too? Then they'll be on our side." But Walker's whole point was not to shut them down here. I think what she was trying to say is, because then she says, "I now believe that Juliet is alive, and I'm kind of with y'all. But if y'all gonna do this, you need to be organized. Like, there needs to be some type of planning and some type of strategy with this. You just can't, I'm about to charge up there and make them tell us what happened, because they gonna kill y'all asses. So you need to plan this, you need to organize this, you need to think this through, and then make your move, because you only get one shot. And you don't want to fuck that up."
Do not miss your chance to go. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime.
Thank you, Detroit. Appreciate that.
Yes. But yeah, I think that I think like everyone's giving, like, Shirley is a firecracker, like a person to watch for the season, for whether or not like she could inadvertently do some shit that hurts everybody, like with the intention of her helping everyone. Like, it's very possible, because she seemed like the bitch to be like, "Let's just open up this silo. We dead anyway, so we might as well open up this silo," right? Like, she's heading towards that fate. So I'm all good on like her like kind of getting more information, and I think that I did the ADHD thing where I started moving something and then I had to finish it. So I think what she needs to worry about is like starting something that gets out of control, for one. For two, I think that that would be the number one person I would not suppress, but actually bring, like, that would be the person I would bring into a dark room and be like, "Listen, bitch, this is what's really happening. Like, cool your jets, or else we're all dead." And then I think like she's asking legitimate questions that they should get answers to. So there's no, like, as much as, because we know what we know, it's kind of like she's kind of being annoying. But realistically, her best friend since a kid just did the unthinkable, survived, didn't clean, like just changed the history of their entire lives, and it's potentially giving the premise that like it's okay to go outside. So yeah, I also would be like, what the fuck? Are we all gonna go back to sleep? Like, this can't.
Yeah, but here's the thing. At this point, she knows it's not okay to go outside, because she knows that the tape is what saved her. So she knows that if you have bad tape, you're gonna die. So that should tell her that, like, okay, it's not okay to just be outside, but I do want to know why they was giving people bad tape. Like, what, like, I agree. Questions.
Well, and that's what I'm going back to, is like, so maybe the bad tape was because like maybe season 10 we find out, yeah, they didn't want them to make it over the hill because they knew they would die or whatever. I don't know. But like, that's my point. They were legitimately letting people die. Like, they were setting them up. They were giving them the premise that like they were just like, it was uninformed consent. It was like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put you out there, but actually set you up so that you die immediately. And so I guess that's my whole point, is she's not wrong. And even if she's being like a rabble rouser and potentially like creating conflict and potentially going to set something off, it's not her fault that she's misinformed. It is not her fault that like she knows what she knows. And she's not like wrong. It's just they're telling the stories that she's like this, because we're getting the story right now from IT and Judicial, right? Like, we're spending more time with them behind the scenes, and Shirley's just coming and annoying us. And so I feel like they're kind of setting her up to seem like she's doing something wrong, but she's really doing the most valid thing here. Like, Walker's being annoying. Shirley's the only one who's like, what the fuck are we going to do about this? Like, clearly our government is corrupt.
Yes, but just like in real life, you can't just like run up on the government, because they're gonna kill your ass. So if you want to make a change, you should probably have a plan, not just run up on them. they got nukes. And in this case, they got guns and you don't. Well, we don't know. We know they got guns, but we don't know what they got down there. So then they cut back to Judge Medows, and Bernard shows up there. And then we get this scene, which I thought was really interesting.
You're still full of surprises.
Come in.
Thank you for your endorsement. What changed your mind?
To be honest, I went there to watch you fail. To
That's so petty.
watch it all fall down around you.
And?
I never thought you had any talent for politics. But in light of today's performance, I could be wrong.
I wasn't bad, was I?
I assume the hecklers were arranged for?
Yeah, you don't want to leave anything like that to chance. And I think the cover story worked.
Yeah, I forgot to say that, but we did see Sims paying off these 3 dudes who was in detention because he got them to be fake hecklers to talk shit during his speech. And by the way, the funniest thing happened here. They're standing around talking right now around this table.
Mm-hmm.
He got a table with this really fancy case. And inside the case is a fucking etching sketch. They treating the etching sketch like it's the Mona Lisa. Like it's the most valuable thing in the world. It's a goddamn etching sketch.
I missed that. But I was just gonna say, when Bernard, no, not Bernard. Oh my God, Sims was paying off those people. I was just thinking about Jussie Smollett.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he's like, don't tell nobody, we'll fucking kill you. And they're like, all right, like we're glad. Okay, cool.
We good.
We're good.
Works. It's ludicrous. But given the situation, it does what you need it to do.
I approached it like an equation. People saw a miracle happen, and if I tried to tell them it didn't, some would buy it, but the mob saw what it saw, so I gave them a story to explain the 2 different kinds of tape. Now, if anyone tries to tell a different story, then they have to disprove mine. And if that doesn't work, there's always brute force.
Mm-hmm. Brute force works for a while, but...
But what?
You need to give them something to believe in.
That is why I need you.
You don't need me. You proved that today.
On my way up here, I saw the same new graffiti 3 times. JL. And that was up here. Who knows what's happening in the down deep? The speech bought us a few days, but I can't manage this crisis without you.
Because I'm the only other person who's been in that vault.
Because you're the only other person that I will listen to.
Yeah. So vault, put a pin in vault. What the fuck vault? What's in there? And then 2, it's giving Olivia and Fitz.
Well, we know what the vault is. He's talking about the room where he was watching the video.
No, I think there's another vault. I think that she's referring to something else. I think there's a vault somewhere holding some shit. And also, do you understand who I'm referencing when I say Fitz and Olivia, or are you too uncultured for that?
I'm the one that, you see, you don't even listen to me.
What? You the one who what?
I'm the one that said to you, we should do a podcast reviewing Scandal like 2 years ago.
Oh my God. Can you imagine watching 12,000 episodes of monologues? No.
Yeah, it's the best. Papa Pope.
Maybe one day. Look, again, if y'all want to see us recap Game of Thrones, Scandal, any show that takes 12 million years to watch, please give to the show. That's the only time I ask for money.
I tried to find another shadow, but you set the bar too high. Listen, when I asked for your help earlier, I offered you incentives and bribes, and I realized that was insulting and patronizing. And I apologize.
Thank you. want you to see something.
We use hand signals to communicate.
So that's when she says, this is the first time in 25 years she don't want to be drunk. She poured out all her liquor. She wants to be clear-headed about this and about Bernard. And they staring real close to each other, which makes it seem like they had some type of relationship in the past. And Bernard says, what you want? Just tell me what you want, I'll make it happen. And she says, you want to know what I want? When this crisis is over, I want you to set aside me a nice roll of that good tape, two air tanks, a spare suit, and I want to go outside. I want what Jules had. I want to get the fuck up out of here. Let me go. And then it cuts off.
By the way, he's not slick. Him being like, hey, I ain't never had it like I had it with you. Like, he's basically said, you're my favorite eater. No one can do it like you can. Like, I know what they used to do.
Oh, you do?
Okay, he's missing that thing. He's missing that good.
Okay.
We're finally gonna get a silo sex scene. I'm just kidding.
We did have one with Jules and George. It was weak though.
But if you ever listen to me, like if you've listened to this podcast over the time, you know that I'm craving. That's a crazy verb to use. I'm craving old people sex scenes because they don't show it, and I think it would be way healthier if we stopped showing like 17-year-olds having sex and more show like 70-year-olds.
We saw it in Industry. When Eric was fucking
70-year-olds. Who's Eric?
Eric in Industry.
Eric. Oh, yeah. But even then, it's like with some young babe. No, like also Eric's not 70. I mean white-haired people. I want to see Golden Girls. I want to see Blanche on them dates, is what I'm saying.
And no one else wants to see that.
But I feel like it would be healthier if we stop, because like then you have like a show like Euphoria, which
there's a big gap between 17 and 70.
Okay, hold on, let me finish. You have a show like Euphoria where like it could easily be about college kids. All the same, it's just as dramatic in college, but they make the kids underage, which is like weird. And then you have maybe 50s, you'll see an older man, but you rarely see an older woman receive pleasure on screen. And so my point is just like, we should normalize that like sex is not just a thing for voyeurism. It's a part of the relationships that people do into their 60s and maybe even 70s. And I'm not going to tell you they're not doing it in 90. So I'm just saying we should see more of that because it's such a, we don't think about, I really believe in like the power that all these images have on us and like how we think about society. Or if you just think like if the aliens came and all they had was like streaming, you know, who would they think we were? And we don't show the real range of the human experience. So anyway, I'm all for like old people fucking on camera.
I'm for older people, not old.
Okay.
Old.
That's fair.
50. Yeah, I'm good with some 50 sex. 55. I think I saw a show with some 60-year-old sex. Not on TV. It's not normal.
And to be clear, I'm not like seeking it out. I'm not like fast forwarding to the old sex scene. No, I'm just saying,
yes,
like, I think it should be normalized. Let's normalize it.
What are you excited about next week? I'm sure you looked at the preview.
I mean, I didn't. Yeah, I looked at the preview, but I don't remember what happened. I would say that I mean, I do want to check in on Juliet. I want her to get into that other server room. I think what I'm most excited about, to be honest with you, is like, I would like to know, because we saw that there's hella silos. Like, I would prefer to get to know what's happening in all the fucking silos. Like, pick up the next scene in a whole new silo with whole new people and tell me what the fuck's happening there. Like, I really want the silo multiverse. I don't know if we're going to get that. So I think what I would like to see in resolution in this season overall is Juliet reconnecting with her people. So we're gonna see if that even can happen, because that suit is done for. So yeah, I don't know. I guess like I don't know. I don't even know what to think to look forward to. What about you?
I want to see what the hell's going on with Juliet. I want to see what type of plan Shirley's gonna come up with now that Walker's helping her and can talk a little sense into. Let her still be curious, but just calm her down a little bit before she get herself killed. So I want to see what type of plan they come up with. And then I'm interested in if Meadows is playing Bernard or if she's really going to try to help him. Is she doing it in a benevolent way or is she sinister? Like, I don't really know where she stands on that spectrum. And I'm very curious to see where she falls on this.
Yeah, how do we know she's not, her intention is not harm?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna tell you something right now. On everything that we ever seen about end of the world, apocalyptic, there's always a psycho who's like, hey, I know we all went through something, but I still want to kill more people. So maybe I would love that. I want her to be actually to like her to have the intention of like airing out the whole silo and killing everybody. That's what I look forward to. I look forward to the judge just having like a crash out and being like, I'm opening the top on this bitch.
Thank you all for listening to Chanel's nihilism. And we'll be back next week. By the way, Chanel, I don't think you knew this. But since Thanksgiving, I don't know why they're doing it because Friday's Black Friday. Because it's Thanksgiving this week and Friday is Black Friday, episode 3 of Silo actually comes out on Wednesday. So very short turnaround for episode 3 of Silo. We'll still be back sometime next week at our normal time, most likely, to review this. So until then, if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please continue doing that. Sharing our shows and leave us a review if it's 5 stars to read on the show. Those of you watching live on YouTube, thank you. Can you like our videos and hit that subscribe button? And for those of you not, go to youtube.com/@WeWasWatching and subscribe. You can also email us. Tell us what you think is happening next week on episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
If you read the book, don't spoil us, but just give us your theories and what you think is going to happen in the show at wewasdragonspod@gmail.com. And you can follow us on social media at We Was Watching on Blue Sky and on Twitter. Thank you all for listening. I don't think Chanel had a saying. She just made some shit up last time.
Thanks for listening to We Was Siloed. I hope that you don't feel siloed this week during the holiday and you are with family and friends that is your chosen community and that you feel love.
Was not expecting a public service announcement, but I endorse it.
It's a meditation at the end. It's going to be a mantra. I'm going to give out good vibes when I don't have a song.
Thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to y'all next week.